Hi everyone, and welcome back to my Facebook Live after such a long hiatus. So bear with us because we've been trying to do a couple of things. We were trying to broadcast live on YouTube at the same time, so it would be YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Because I know a lot of people that are not necessarily on one or are on one and are not on the other, but we were having technical difficulties. So anyway, we're going to keep trying. Danny's going to keep perfecting the technology. He's back there doing it all on his own. So today, what I wanted to ask you to do was to join me for tea, and and I wanted to start by saying that each week, I actually will be sharing with you some of my favorite mugs. I have such a huge collection of teacups and tea mugs. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to see some of your teacups and tea mugs. And if you have a favorite teacup or tea mug, send me a picture like now so we can post it up. But if you have access to your email, just email a picture. The funnier the cup or mug, the better, and we'll share it with everyone. Email it to this address. It's tea at, in fact, what was the address again? It's cup at teawithanitamoorjani.com. So that's cup at teawithanitamoorjani.com. So send me your pictures, and the funnier the better. Let me show you Danny's favorite tea mug, which is hilarious. So here is a shot of his mug holding his favorite tea mug, which says, I don't need Google, my wife knows everything. So, which is really typical. No, I don't know everything, but yeah, but then again. So anyway, today what I wanted to start to talk about was, I guess, love. But before I get into it, I just wanted to give a shout out to Zina Muzica. She's a beautiful woman who I know who actually makes teas. And she made a beautiful tea for me, which she called Child's Pose. And it came in this wonderful jar. She sent it to me, and she created it specifically for me. And she actually called it, she said it's the self-love tea, but she named it Child's Pose. So that's what I'm drinking today, right now. And thank you, Zina. It's beautiful. I loved the pack. I loved everything about it. So thanks for sending it to me. Speaking of self-love tea, I wanted to mention here that the most asked question I get, the most frequently asked question that I get is, what is self-love, or how do I practice self-love, or I don't know how to love myself. And so in my head, I'm thinking, gosh, that seems to be all I ever talk about. I feel like that's all I talked about in my book, Dying to Be Me. That's all I talked about in What If This Is Heaven. That seems to be all I talk about in many of my videos and speeches and events. And I feel like I'm always teaching people how to love themselves. But apparently, I still get asked that question a lot. So I had to try and figure out what is an easy way, like a really, I wanted to come up with like a succinct way of explaining to you what self-love really is and what it means, so that you can keep referring back to this video and this meaning, and so that I can keep referring to this video whenever I get the question, which keeps coming up time and time again. So let me start by saying what self-love is not exactly. So a lot of people believe that if we just if we like just go for massages, or we just take care of what we eat, or we take time out, that's self-love. That is part of it. But bear in mind, there are a lot of people who do things like they go to spas, they take vacations, they go on massages, they do their hair, they take care of themselves, but they don't necessarily love themselves. A lot of people do it out of peer pressure, out of falling for advertising that makes them feel like they need to really keep up with everyone by having their hair done and having things done to their face, or people do it for different, they do these things for different reasons. And all of those reasons for doing it are fine. Like, I'm all for taking care of yourself. I'm all for that. But that is not my definition of self-love. The other thing that people feel is that as long as they can stand in front of a mirror and use positive affirmations, like saying things like, I love myself, I am beautiful, I am great, I am wonderful. That's also great. I'm all for that. But there are a lot of people who do that who don't love themselves. And they're trying to convince themselves they do, or trying to convince themselves to love themselves. So here's my definition of self-love. Self-love really means loving the whole you, including your soul, or particularly your soul who came here to express itself. So the way to really love yourself, I would say, is to find a quiet space. It could be out in nature. It could be in your home. It could be like with music on, or in silence. And then once you find that space, the thing I would like you to do is to think of the journey of your soul. Think of the journey that your soul has had to go through to get to where you are right now, or to get to where your soul is right now, right this minute. So what do I mean by that? So if I was to do that, if I was to turn inward and close my eyes, and you can use beautiful music to elicit emotions, because music helps you to open up. So I would think in terms of, wow, look at the journey my soul has been through. It chose to come through these parents, and it has experienced things like constantly feeling like I don't fit in. I've experienced bullying. I've experienced being ostracized from my culture, my community. I have experienced going through terminal end-stage cancer, the fear of cancer, watching my best friend die of cancer. I've experienced all of these things, and I experienced death, but yet here I am, and I wouldn't change a thing. And then just feel what you feel for that soul who has been through so much to bring you through to this point. And your story will be different from mine. Now, for me, this is when I was in that near-death experience, this is what that self-love felt like. It was like, there was like this emotion, like an emotional gasp of, oh my God, look at what my soul has been through. Look at that, and look how much I've judged myself. It's that feeling, that awe, that feeling. And your story might be like, oh my God, look at that abuse my soul has taken. Look at what I've allowed myself to put up with. Wow, how could I have let my soul go through that? That is what I felt. Like, I started to think, why didn't I stand up for myself? How could I have let this poor soul go through that kind of bullying, that kind of being treated like a doormat? Just do like a check back of your life, like a reliving of all the things you've been through, and just embrace your soul. Like, give yourself a nice tight hug while you're reliving this, all the things that your soul, your beautiful, pure soul has been through. To me, loving yourself is loving your soul. It's loving the whole you, loving yourself with all the pitfalls, because many of us mistake loving ourselves as thinking that we're champions. It's this whole rah, 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 I can do it, I'm a champion, I'm a winner. That's not loving yourself, because when we're really constantly only focused on the winning, what happens is we can't handle it when we lose everything, when we're in pain, when we're in grief. But loving ourselves means loving all of that. So every time you feel like, oh, I don't know how to love myself, take yourself into that quiet space and just think of what your soul has been through. Think of the hurt, the pain, the grief, the struggle, the mountains you have climbed to be where you are today. And so that is what loving yourself, loving your soul is. And the other thing I want to say here is that if you can hold that state of loving your soul, if you can hold that feeling, that love for your soul, if you can hold it for at least 20 seconds, even 30 seconds, you're making an impact on yourself and your energy. That is what I mean by loving yourself. And the longer you can be in that state for, the better. For me, I find music really helps me to get into that state. By the way, I just heard from my intrepid boo in the background, in the behind the scenes, that YouTube has come online as well. So thank you, that's great. So welcome to our YouTube followers. So here's what I want to say once again, that because we've got a one-man show going on here with Danny running YouTube and Facebook, and you guys sending in your pictures and comments. And of course, I welcome questions as well. What would make it really easy for me to find the questions, or for Danny to find the questions, is if you real quickly now were able to actually email the questions to cup@teawithanita.com. So that's cup@teawithanita.com. That way we can collect the pictures of your mugs and your comments all in one place, because otherwise he's juggling between Facebook and YouTube and fiddling with the technology and doing all of that. We really need one more person behind the scenes. Now I want to say thank you for joining me at this new time slot of 9 a.m. Normally I'm in my pajamas. One day I will do that. I will actually sit here in my pajamas. Today I'm actually going out right after this show. We're actually going to Malibu because the sun's shining outside. You can see that's the sun streaming in behind me. And so I'm going with some friends, and my friend Karine, and we're driving down to Malibu to enjoy some sun today. So if you're around, come and say hi. So I'm gonna, before I go into a couple of other tips about self-love, this is going to be focused on self-love. So if you have questions, please post me questions about self-love. I'm going to turn to Boo to ask him if there have been any pictures or not yet. Do we need a little more time for that? So,
there have actually been 2 pictures that have come in.
Oh, okay. Maybe we can share some pictures. Remember, the funnier, the better. So let's see what we've got so far. And remember, our Boo is a one-man show running things from behind the scenes. Oh, okay. That's actually very pretty.
Right. Now, this is Phil from Switzerland.
Oh, hi, Phil. That's a really, really beautiful cup. Wow. That's really beautiful. Next week you'll see me with I'm thinking maybe my unicorn cup. So yeah, this one, I don't know if I mentioned it. I bought it last week at the Olvera Street Market, which if some of you saw on my Facebook, I actually went there last week. So I wanted to share a couple more tips about self-love. So remember to hold that state for as long as you can. But here's the other tip I want to share is the talk. It's the language you use on yourself. What are you saying to yourself all the time? So now go back to think of that soul. Think of the journey your soul has been through, coming through your parents, enduring whatever it's had to endure to take you to where you are right now. Whether you've been through broken relationships, heartbreaks, abuse, whatever it is you've been through, illnesses, whatever it is you've been through, and here you are today sitting and watching this video. And so now think of that poor soul. All that soul needs is understanding and love and empathy and compassion. That's all it needs to shine its light and thrive in this world. So, but what is it that we are actually doing instead of giving that soul empathy and allowing it to shine its light and thrive in the world, instead of saying, oh my gosh, you beautiful soul, thank you for enduring all that for me. Thank you so much for coming here and enduring it so that I can express myself through you and live here in this earth right now. What many of us end up doing is we're constantly saying, oh my gosh, you better change, you better be different, why are you so fat, why are you so like this, why is your hair so awful, why can't you look better, why can't you make more money, why are you so unsuccessful? I mean, do any of you relate to that? Or why, like, is there something wrong with me? Why are people picking on me? Why was I born this neighborhood? Why am I this race? Why am I this color? That's the kind of stuff we tend to do to ourselves. Why do we do that? So the second thing that I want, that is an act of self-love, is to watch that language that you use on yourself. Now, affirmations are really great, but what happens is that if you're doing the affirmations and you're forcing the affirmations while not watching your inner dialogue and the language you're using on yourself, then what you're doing, it's like you have your foot on the accelerator and the brake at the same time. What you have to do is to watch that inner language that is negative, that self-talk that is beating yourself up, criticizing yourself, judging yourself at every turn of, oh my God, why did I make that decision? And so it's about replacing that with the positive language. So it isn't about adding positive language on top and forcing it and wondering why it's not working, but it's about replacing that negative judgment that you have going on all the time, replacing that with the affirmations. Or even more is that I love myself because I am whatever, actually coming up with positive things that you know are true about yourself and loving yourself through them. You know, even if you fail at a business, even if you fall flat on your face, even if you've just lost a relationship and you're doubting yourself and you're wondering, what did you do wrong? It's about loving yourself through that and saying, oh my gosh, you poor soul, you've been through so much pain. It really is about what would your guardian angel, your mother, your spirit guide, somebody who loved you unconditionally, what would they say to you? That's the language you need to use on yourself. So that's the other tip I have about self-love. And I'm going to turn to the intrepid Danny. And by the way, thank you for everyone on YouTube and Facebook. I'm so thrilled we managed to broadcast on both live. And turning to Danny now to see if we have any questions, photos.
There's lots of photos coming in, faster than I can copy-paste them onto the screen.
Yay, let's see a few.
There's questions that are coming in, so I'm fielding questions and copy-pasting and taking photos and copy-pasting. But here's a question for you.
Okay.
Right, while I slowly slow everything down so that in the background I can quickly move my hands around trying to do things, but I will slowly ask this question to buy myself some time. It's from Ruben, who says, you said that music helps you to be in a stage that you can look at what your soul has been through. What kind of music? Where can I find it?
So
thank you and love.
Thank you for that question. Who was that from, did you say? Ruben?
That question has come in from Ruben.
Ruben. Thank you for that question, Ruben. So a lot of people ask me about music because I speak a lot about music. For me, music is very healing, and it can change your state. And so for me, I usually love to have a really nice pair of speakers or a really nice pair of earphones so I get really good quality music. I can recommend so many artists that I absolutely love. I love Paul Luftenegger, Barry Goldstein. Those are two people that I have worked with. Deva Premal, love her music. She performs with her husband Miten. Their music is really, really beautiful. Geraldine Glass produces some beautiful crystal healing music. All the people I've named so far I know personally, so I'm trying to think of some music that I listen to who I don't know personally. But here's another one I know personally is actually, no, this one I don't know personally, Krishna Das. I love his music as well, very beautiful music. Snatam Kaur, love her music as well. Many others. There's an artist who I love, the name is I think it's pronounced Deuter or Deuter. It's either Deuter or Due. I think it's Deuter. Look it up. French. There's one track I love. It's called Après la pluie, which Après la pluie, which is after the rain in English. It's an instrumental. It's beautiful, but a lot of his music is absolutely beautiful. I will one day actually create a playlist and post it somewhere for you. I'll actually write up a playlist. I keep promising it, but I will do that, and maybe even do a Facebook Live, YouTube Live, specifically on the kind of music that can uplift your spirit. We can focus it on music and maybe even take you on a journey during that live video. Oh, now see, that's a great idea for a live video. So speaking of ideas for live videos, I would love to hear your ideas. I would love for your ideas to keep on coming as to what you would like me to talk more about. What do you want me to expand on or explain more about? I really welcome your ideas. And maybe send those ideas to, as we said, cup@teawithanitamoorjani.com. So everything related to my Sunday morning live show can go into that email address. So if you have questions, if you have ideas for the show, what you would like me to talk more about, if you have pictures that you would love me to post, please send them to this email address. And I would love to hear your ideas. And the reason for the email address is we do try and read the comments, but because we've got Danny trying to manage all of that at once, it's hard for him to read comments on both. But after the show, I definitely will go back and read the comments on both. So thanks for tuning in for both. So let's go with some of the photos. I think I caught him off guard. And we're still getting the hang of all this software.
Now, I must apologize. I'm not sure how to pronounce the sender's photo. It's spelled Xochiti. So would that be Chicote? I'm guessing Chicote.
Xochiti.
Xochiti.
Yeah, Shotiki?
Yes, I apologize, be. Yes.
Yes, the sender's name. Well, thank you. So I want, and look, there's me on the screen. I'm looking at me on the screen. So that's a cute mug. Have we got any more?
We do indeed.
Great. And then I'll go into, I actually want to share a couple more tips about self-love while we're at it.
Here's one from Ashield.
I like those. Those are really cute.
Right, and okay, I'm going to have to adjust the photo. And here's a photo from Beth.
Oh, I like that one. The heart. Nice. Good morning, Beth. Thank you. What I love is when you take the photo right now and send it so it's instant. I love that. I love that. Seeing you having your tea or coffee. So I'm a tea person. I do drink something also, just as a matter of fact. It's made of chicory, and it's the brand is Ticino, I think. And it's made of chicory, and you brew it like coffee, but there's no caffeine. It's naturally caffeine free, and I love that. I drink that a lot too. So yes, I don't drink much caffeine, but I do drink black tea once in a while. I wanted to share a couple of other tips about self-love that a lot of people, when they've heard me speak about unconditional love, I speak about how that I sometimes say that when we love ourselves unconditionally, it's easier to love other people unconditionally too. So I want to stress this. It's really important for you to love yourself unconditionally. And the reason is, when you don't love yourself unconditionally, but you are trying to love other people unconditionally, what ends up happening is that you end up trying to love people who are even perhaps trying to exploit you or abuse you. And when you believe that I have to love others unconditionally, the most loving thing I can do is to love people unconditionally. I even need to love those that that are the least lovable, which is very noble. You know, and it's a thing. I encourage you to love those that are the least lovable. However, When you don't love yourself, you open yourself up to allowing them to abuse you and treat you badly. When you love yourself, it's like you set a bar. It's like you raise your frequency, and people who interact with you have to interact at your frequency of love. So if you think of love as an energy or a frequency, the more you love yourself, the more that you do the things that I said, like hold yourself in that energy of feeling that love for yourself, the more you can do that, the more you are raising your own frequency. When you raise that frequency, what happens is that the people around you are forced to meet you at that frequency, to interact with you, because what you've done is you have raised your own energy level. You have expanded your own aura. So in order for people to interact with you, they will meet you at your frequency level. If they cannot meet you there, they will fall away without you doing anything. So either your presence will help to raise theirs to your level if they're open to it. And if they are not open to it, they are the ones who will fall away without you even thinking that, oh, I need to love them more. What am I doing wrong? Or what do I need to do to love them or make them feel more loved? When you raise your own love frequency by loving yourself, by loving your whole journey, your whole soul, when you raise that, you don't have to process, how do I love people more? How do I love myself more? How do I interact with that person? All that goes away because people will feel love just by being in your presence. I still get letters from people that say, I am trying to be unconditionally loving to my family members. And I know it's really hard when it's your own family member, to my adult offspring, daughter, son, whatever, who is treating me with abuse, or I'm trying to be unconditionally loving to my partner, spouse, who is abusing me, and I don't know what else I can do. My answer is always, it's not about loving them unconditionally, it's about loving yourself and raising your own love energy by doing what I said earlier about, getting yourself in that space and loving your own journey. You do that. That's what you do. And then people have to interact with you in that space. Here's another thing. If you're still struggling with relationships, when you're in that space, with where you are imagining where you are thinking of your whole soul and your life. And the reason I came up with this, by the way, is because this is what it felt like when I was in the other side. It was like, oh my God, my soul, it's so amazing. It's been through so much. And not just this life, but other lives. It's, what you see here, your physical body is just the tip of the iceberg. Who you really are is so much more. It's about loving the whole you. So if you're still struggling with relationships, what I would do is I would visualize, because again, this is what happened to me in the near-death experience. I would visualize that person's soul and my soul. And I would visualize us together. And what I would do is I would visualize myself having the conversation with them that I would really love to have, which we are unable to have in the physical, and visualize them responding to you in the way you would want to be responded to. And keep visualizing that. And when you keep doing that, from that space of being filled with self-love for your whole self, for your journey, for your soul, when you can visualize that from that space, you will slowly notice that relationship will change. That's what it does, because we are not just physical beings. We are energy beings expressing ourselves through a physical body. The mistake we make is that we think we're physical beings. So even our self-love is so focused on the physical, when really it should be focused on the energy, the soul, the whole us. And this is why I say that things like just going for massages or just doing the self-care doesn't always work, because that's just focus on the physical. Now, focusing on the physical is great when you love yourself, when you're coming from the inside, when you love your soul. Then it's like, my soul is expressing itself through this body, so I need to take care of the body. That's very different from, oh my God, I need to take care of this body because otherwise I will be a victim of illness. And The victim mentality is the outside in view of these things happen to me. The inside out is I am a soul expressing itself through this body. I am who I am today because of the journey of my soul. And as my soul expresses itself through this body, I need to take care of this body because I want this vehicle to last a long time for my soul to express itself through. So that's really what self-love is. It's expressing yourself from your soul, from the inside out. And I'm just going to check in with Danny if we have a couple more pictures or questions or anything like that.
There's all kinds of things coming in.
This is so fun because we can share some next week as well.
Absolutely. Now, here is a picture of a cup from my friend Lara.
Oh, how cute. Pencils. I love it.
And here is something that I find really, really cute. This is from Anek in Switzerland.
Oh, that's so cute. Your dog and the cup with the dogs. We're dog people. Well, we're sort of cat people. I have to share something really funny with you about cats and dogs that Michael Neal shared with me the other day. He said to me that when a dog looks at you, the dog says, "Oh my gosh, you give me shelter, you give me food, you give me love, you must be God." But when a cat looks at you, a cat says, "You give me shelter, you give me food, you give me love, I must be God." I loved that. That is so cat and dog personality. I just loved it when he told me that. So
I have to show you one more photo,
cool.
more cup that's just come in.
Yay.
Right.
I love this. I love the photos.
This is from Nina, and she says, "Thank you, dear Anita, for sharing love and wisdom. Sending love to you." And that guy behind the scenes, Danny. But here's what she says. My cup says, and I'm guessing this is not in English. She says, "My cup says, the magic is in you."
Wow. I love that. And I love how she's got the butterflies. That's so cool. I love that. That's really beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to post some more next week. And you can tell me your favorite teas or coffees or anything like that too. I'll share a different one with you every week. Today I'm sharing with you Zena's tea, which is absolutely exquisite. I just love it. Do we have any questions? And so, because what I also want to chat with you about is where I'm going to be. And but we do have a couple more questions. But by the way, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be at Omega in Rhinebeck, upstate New York. And I'm actually particularly excited about this one because all of you have heard me talk about Healing Sanctuary and how I want to create a Healing Sanctuary. So I am, at this moment communicating with people, and we're going to see what we can do to get even a prototype or something off the ground by next year. But it's a long process because it needs a lot of administration work and so on. But what I want to do is when I'm at Omega in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to experiment. And I'm actually going to treat that week that everybody is with me. So if you're coming, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to treat that week as like a sample healing sanctuary. This is how I would like it to be in my healing sanctuary. And here are some of the things that's going to happen that week, which is some of the ideas I have for the healing sanctuary. When we are together, during that whole week, you're going to live as a well person. So that week at Omega, really, I know we're going to attract a lot of people who are healers or people who just need their batteries recharged or people who need healing or going through health challenges. So one of the things that I'm going to request is that we are not allowed to use labels for our diagnosis. In other words, we cannot say, I have cancer, I have lupus, I have whatever, I have MS. We're going to eradicate all those labels and we're going to create a life that we love. And so when we do that, we're kind of training our cells, our brain cells, to live as a healthy person as opposed to constantly reaffirm the illness. And so that's what we're going to do from the day we enter that retreat, which is in fact in 2 weeks' time at Omega, which is going to be like a sample for my healing sanctuary. From that day, we're going to leave our illnesses at the door. We're going to leave our health challenges at the door, and we're going to learn to live as healthy people, and we're going to actually raise our energy levels and live on a higher vibe and maintain that higher vibe through the week and see how it affects us on a cellular level and even in our habits and in our mind and in the way we conduct our lives and think about our lives. So that's the experiment I'm going to conduct while we're at Omega. And here's what's making me really excited. I also often talk about healers who I use, who I go to for healing, because I believe everybody, all healers, everybody who does this kind of work, you need to also go and recharge your batteries somewhere. And people often ask me, who are your healers? Who do you go to? Well, I have invited 2 of them to accompany me on this week. So together we're actually going to hold the space, and you're going to meet them if you're coming. So that's in 2 weeks, and I'm really excited about that. So that's at the Omega Center in Rhinebeck, New York. And I'm going to turn back to our Danny and ask if you mentioned there were some questions.
There are questions, but do you like parrots?
I love parrots. I love all animals.
Take a look at this.
That's so cute. There's 3 identical almost. There's a picture of a parrot, a real parrot, and a mug with a parrot.
This is sent in by Hilda a couple of seconds ago.
Oh, that is so cute. That's priceless to get all 3 in the same photo. I love animals. I love peacocks as well. I just love their stunning colors when they open up their tail, when they fan it out.
I'm guessing probably in the next 2 minutes we'll get 1,000 peacock photos now. Hopefully all on coffee cups and coffee mugs.
Yes, peacock coffee cups. Oh, and maybe one day I will ask you guys your ideas for even my website. I'm wondering whether to make it look more unicorn or peacocks. Kind of, yeah. I'd love to hear from you. So did you say we have a question?
We do have questions. I have a question here from Caton, who says, Dear Anita, how would you help someone who has a deep-rooted feeling of guilt because she believes that she has caused the death of 2 people by saying the wrong thing?
Wow. Okay, so first of all, I want to say that your friend, the person you're talking about, she doesn't have that kind of power to cause the death of someone by just saying something, and so she needs to do whatever she can to alleviate the guilt. Now, I have a whole chapter on this in my book, What If This Is Heaven, where I am speaking, where somebody comes to me and I explain to them how they have nothing to do with the death of somebody who they love, who they felt guilty that they didn't see the signs that this person was someone who wanted to take their life, and they felt guilty that they may have even been part of the cause. But that's not the case. If somebody has lost their life, if they've taken their own life, there's a lot of elements that leads to them taking their life, and this is what you need to tell this person. There's a lot that goes on in their mind before they take on their own life. It's not just one incident. If they are so delicate that something you said could have been the final straw, if it wasn't you, it would have been something else. The problem wasn't what was said. The problem was the way they processed the information that was coming in. The problem was much deeper and started much, much earlier. This is what this person needs to know. That person had this problem of being imbalanced and feeling fearful. But what you also need to know is that those people are not suffering. They are absolutely not suffering right now. And if they were communicating with you or with the person who feels guilty, if they were communicating with them, they would want them to know that they are fine. They would want them to know that they don't hold them responsible. That the best thing that that person can do is to get over the guilt and live their life fearlessly. and to find joy in their life again, or find their passion, or to find their purpose, like to literally do whatever they can to heal the guilt. That is what the deceased people want for them. When we are deceased, all we feel for the people we've left behind is unconditional love. We don't hold them responsible. That's how it felt for me when I was on the other side. So please tell her that they do not hold her responsible. They do not hold your friend responsible, him or her. And they would want them to know that they would want them to do whatever they can to heal that guilt and to find joy in their life again. So thank you for that really sensitive and beautiful question. So have we got any more?
I have one more question for you, and then before we wrap up, I'm going to close with a hilarious picture of a mug.
Okay.
But first, the question. This question comes from Angeline, who says, I've been learning more about the masculine and feminine traits inside of me, and how I can love myself, fully embracing all of me. Would you talk a little more about that, please?
Yes, I love that question. So when I was growing up, one of the things that I always did was I always suppressed the masculine traits within me, because I was always, I grew up in a very in a very gender biased culture, and so and this works for both genders. This is not just about women or just about men. When men feel tender emotions, which are usually assigned to women, they suppress them because they feel it's a weakness. When women feel emotions that are usually assigned to men, they suppress them. But in actuality, we need to express all of it. We need our female and male emotions, because when you are born in a particular body, whether it's male, female, transgender, that's just your body. But within you, you really are both energetically, you are made of yin and yang, the male and the female energies. And in order for you to express yourself fully as whatever you are, again, whether it's male, female, transgender, gay, straight, that doesn't matter. But in order to express yourself fully, you need to embrace all of who you are. And even if, let's say, you are heterosexual, the thing is that it's usually the heterosexual people who are most afraid of expressing the emotions that they assign to the opposite sex. I often feel that people who are more gender neutral, people who are more who are not heterosexual, who are transgender, actually express their emotions in a more healthy way. And I honestly believe that's why more of them are coming out and more of them are being born into this planet right now, because we have been extremely unhealthy in the way that we have been expressing our gender identities. It has been pretty warped until now. And so now it's like, we are being woken up by a lot of beautiful, amazing people who refuse to be identified as one gender or another. So embrace both sides. Don't be afraid if you're in a woman's body but have a lot of emotions and feelings and traits that you have previously assigned to being male traits, and vice versa. Don't be afraid if you are a man who is feeling sensitivity, who feels like crying. All of that is so attractive. Expressing it all is so attractive. So thank you for saying that and sharing that. It's all good. It's all good. We're all in this together. So thank you. And so before we wrap up, Danny said he has a hilarious picture and a hilarious mug to share. If a man says he will fix it, he will. There is no need to remind him every 6 months. I need to get that. That's a good one. We need to put that on a t-shirt or something. Next time we should do t-shirts. People can share their funniest t-shirts. That's hilarious. That would be hilarious. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. And So thank you so much for tuning in. I'd love to hear your feedback, love to hear your comments. And if you really enjoyed this, if you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. And if you're on Facebook, please just write your comments, click like, whatever it is. And I can't wait to see you next week. Same time, same place. Until then, have a wonderful week and a wonderful Sunday. Bye.